Good morning, guys. Automotive Inc. here. So, the long-awaited tow test. All right. I'll apologize for the echo in this large building that we keep the trailers in, but we did make it out here to my stomping grounds with the two trucks. And today, instead of putting them with my little trailer, which is directly behind my noggin here, that trailer is about 10.5 empty with all my swag minus water. It's about 12, and that's what we initially started with on the Godzilla there, the General. And this is going to have, the way I'm going to have to break this up, because I don't have a fancy editor, I don't have a shooting team or production team, is I'm going to break this up into parts, okay? So this will just be part one. We're going to kind of go through the introduction. We'll be towing with the Chevy first just because that one I put the hitch in, not thinking that I already had it set up for the Ford, but nonetheless. So let's talk part one, truck and trailer setup. All right, so as you guys know, this is the 6.6 liter Big Red with a 10-speed Allison. And we got the Timbrins in, so that's going to help with ride sag, but it's still going to compress a little bit, but overall it's going to keep it in check. I had a 21 custom with the L5P first gen Duramax, and it did squat the truck about 3 inches, so keep that in mind. So this big guy is my parents'. They call it the Cruising Castle. This empty weighs about 14 and a half. It has some stuff in it. A lot of their gear might have a little bit of water, but max it puts it up around 15.5 with all of that. So we're going to be about 1,000 over what the General's supposed to be doing. But you know what? In the name of science, we're going to push past that, because other than the gear ratio, 1,000 pounds, most times they shoot about 10 to 20% under, knowing that people are going to overload it. And from what I've heard, people are overloading that anyway. The Chevy's going to be in check here, but max to this trailer is almost 17,000 pounds, so at almost 40 foot. And what this is going to give us as a good relation is can both these gassers do what we want them to do? Can they pull? Can they maintain speed? Can they slow down? Can they do all of that? Now, most of you people are going to say, well, that's not fair to the Ford, this and that. Well, the Ford outbumps the Chevy in horsepower by about 34 horsepower and about 10 pounds per torque. So with the Timbrins on there and everything, we're going to be just fine, because it'll be just fine. So in theory, the Chevy, even though it's rated at towing more, is actually has the handicap, if you will. Big Red here is rated at 18.5 on the gooseneck, if I remember right. This has a 373 gear ratio in the rear end. Payload wise, both trucks are going to be fine when it comes to the payload specs. So let's see, our max tongue weight's 2760, which are going to be good. 18.4 on the gooseneck or fifth wheel. No conventional towing, but 16. So you guys know the General is right around 15,000, and we're going to be pushed right at that basically today on both the trucks. The General does have 355s, and I will cover that again in that part of the video. So again, this is going to be a head-to-head 60-mile loop. We're going to see if it can do what most of us are doing every day when we go camping or towing. We're running some hills. There'll be some steep grades, some steep downgrades, and whatnot. And but it's going to be about maintaining it. How is the control? Again, putting timbers on here, that's going to help with sway and sag. And I would put that on every truck no matter what. It didn't affect the ride quality at all. Unladen coming down the first trip out on the road, this did average about 13.5 miles per gallon at an 80-mile-an-hour loop for about 160 miles. And then the remainder of that down at 65, it averaged 16.5 miles per gallon. So we went ahead and got the tailgate dropped, and then we're going to go through what the Chevy offers as in this trim package for trailering tech. When you upgrade to the upper trims, you can get a trailering technology package, which offers some in-vehicle applications where you can set up, whatnot. But nonetheless, this one it does have the light check, so we'll play with that in just a second. So I'm going to get this trailer pulled up in the back and get it all disconnected, and then we will get it hooked up to the Chevy. All right, guys, so like I said, we're doing the initial setup. So you're going to want to look down the corner there and hit the subscribe button. So that way you'll know when I'm posting the individual next parts of this series. And, you know, I'm just going to call it the Godzilla versus the big red Chevy. I mean, at this point, because it's got to have a title. I don't know, maybe I'll come something better than that here in a minute. But when you do everything, go ahead and remove your rear jacks first. Bring them up. These ones are, I guess, pretty much just stabilizing jacks, so we bring those up with a impact gun. You're going to raise this, your pin box, just high enough that when the trailer goes under it, again, you're not driving a semi, so you're not slamming it. You're not trying to lift the, you know, go crazy with the trailer, but you're going to make sure that that just barely lifts the front of the trailer up as it goes in. Again, make sure when you set up your trailers, and this, if you're new to a setup, new to a truck, and new to your trailer, and any type of those, make sure that you account for, you know, crush area. Make sure you have enough room in here that if you go through a dip and you go down, the trailer's going to come up. You don't want to pinch your box. I had this set up to go in the 21 custom, so I'm good there. So that's not going to be a big deal. And then the Ford is already set up, so you can adjust on the BMW the height of these pins. You can move them forward and back. So just always keep that in mind. So now we're going to basically get in the truck, and I'm going to kind of show you how the backup camera looks, and we'll see if we're close to getting this on. All right, guys, so we're in the truck itself. As you can see, this is where the tailgate's looking, but it does have, like I said, a fairly low resolution camera, but it is there, and it's kind of nice. You can see the trajectory here. It's going to get better as you go up in trim, but you know, for what it is, not bad. All right, so one thing I really love about the BMW hitches, as you can see right here, here's the handle. It's a very smooth operation. It's easy to open. It's not one of those, you know, tug and pull that you got to reach over and dislocate your shoulder on. So I'm going to see if we can get this kind of, watch how smooth this goes into that handle here. You'll see it kind of just swing shut. And that's it. And then those grappling hooks are already hooked. So love that. All right, so the only thing that this current custom trim offers is your light test. So if you're gonna click that, it says right here, press to start, begin your trailer lights. The next to your vehicle to visually do this, it'll stay on until you get in here and shut it back off. So we can go ahead and hit start right here, and then we'll go walk around the truck. All right, guys, so I just wanna show you here again on the BMW, you can see how those jaws kind of clamp shut. I just think it's a really, really good setup. Don't forget, when you're doing your gooseneck and your fifth wheel, shut that tailgate. Now let's just walk around and look at it. So it's allowing us to have this light test. You can see how the marker lamp is shutting on and off. So I kind of like this. The Peterbilt and Kentworth at work have these, so that's neat. So you can see right there, it's doing the backup lights, stop lamps, left blinker, right blinker. So it's really good that they actually thought of this ahead of time, because I mean, there's a lot of nuances, and it tells you the order it's doing them on the screen, so it gives you a good opportunity to kind of make sure you're looking at the right thing. And then again, once you get it set up, so here's the issue with getting like a tremor or doing a lift kit. You can see that this truck sits high, and it'll come down once we take the jacks out. Just imagine a 3-inch lift. You really want this trailer to be fairly level. So just keep that in mind, guys. And then if you're not familiar with how to set up your actual trailer brake controller in the truck, I'll do a separate video on that, but it will be part of this video also. So that way, if you don't care about this truck, you just want to know about trailer brake controllers, it'll be in there. So now we're going to go ahead and lift the landing gear, and we're going to see kind of the way the truck looks once it's down and how much it compresses on that. Again, this is going to be under the Chevy's weight, but at max of what the Ford can do. All right, guys, so we got the jacks lifted. We're going to disconnect the power here in a second, but I wanted to show you the truck itself has a rake normally from the manufacturer, so you can see the Ford. The video is not going to do it justice. The Ford is tipped a little bit front down, so that's what I mean by rake. But with the Timbrins on there, it basically leveled the truck. So I measured it, putting this much tongue weight on, we lost about 1.5 inches. of ride height, but the Chevy is raked pretty good towards the front. So actually it's level. So this is feeling pretty good. And actually, if anything, the trailer looks like it's sitting a little taller in the front. So, you know, that's pretty crazy. So nonetheless, we'll get this thing ready to go. All right, guys. So now that we're in the truck, we go ahead and put it in tow haul mode. We're going to give it the best opportunity that it can to do what it needs to do. This is about to conclude this. Before we get going here, you can see on the Chevy, it illuminates orange when there is a trailer connected. So we look right down here, you squeeze it to see where your gain is, or you can push one of the buttons and adjust it. I like running about 2.5, 3, so it depends on the type of brakes that your trailer has, and some of this, the vehicle stuff like Ford allows you to pick hydraulic over electric, etc. and so forth. So what you do is you get about 5 to 10 miles per hour when you're, say, in a neighborhood. You're not going to be a traffic hazard. You kind of get up to speed, and imagine this being your brake pedal. Max meaning you're slamming on the brakes, and you know this gradually, you know, compression. You can see right here as this goes up to 2.5, giving 100% of your braking. And what you should be able to do is at 10 mile an hour, reach down here and squeeze this using no foot brake, and squeeze it. And by the time you get to the end, the trailer stops you. If you do this at speeds much more than 10, you're going to throw crap everywhere, and I don't like doing that. There's no sense. And then as you go down the road, if you start with a lower number, you can adjust it. The biggest thing is if you put this, like, I want all the trailer brakes I can, this can lock up and cause bald spots and do all kinds of stuff. So I started about 2.5 on this one. That's what I towed with on the custom. And so that's going to conclude part 1 of Big Red versus Godzilla for the big V8 gassers in the class. So guys, do hit the subscribe and the notification bell, and I will get back to you if you ask a question as quick as I can. But we'll see you on part 2.